Welcome to Sports Talk.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Jackson.
From Top Notch Sports. Today we're going to be going over the Miami Dolphins free agency frenzy, where we're going to mainly talk about this team's what they're going to do in the free agency, right? Off-season free agency. We'll talk a little bit about the draft upcoming and what we might have mocked in right now with their selection. Look, there's a lot of talk about with this Miami Dolphins team just freshly cutting or most likely going to cut Kyle Van Noy, which is going to save them about $9.5 million in cap space. It puts them right around $34 million to work with this upcoming free agency. They got a few needs. And I'll let these guys jump right into it. But again, when we look at it right away, they're going to need a wide receiver, probably a left tackle, a center, an inside linebacker, a defensive tackle, and a running back, right? Potential running back. We'll wait and see what they want to do. I mean, Myles Gaskins honestly looked pretty dang good. But, Mike, I'll let you hop right into it. What direction do you think this team's going to go this upcoming free agency?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. We were talking about it earlier. I saw you guys were talking about it in our one group chat. Makes you immediately think, is this time for Deshaun Watson? Are they freeing money up to bring Deshaun Watson's contract on? I don't know if that's the case, but I think we did talk about it in our Dolphins finance video, saying that they could take Tua and a couple picks and send it to Houston and bring Deshaun Watson on. That automatically makes them a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. But they still do need to add a couple players at the wide receiver position. So the Dolphins, they're picking what, 3?
Yes, sir.
So I mean, maybe you go and depending on who's on the board. Like, do they want Penny Sewell? We saw Penny Sewell. I'm sorry, we saw a lot of people talking about that. Or do they go like a Jamar Chase route? Putting Jamar Chase on this offense opens it up and makes it 1,000 times better. I don't think they need much help on the defensive side of the football. They got one of the best defenses in the NFL, with arguably the biggest playmaker in the NFL, and Xavier and Howard. So I think they, like you said, they need to add at the wide receiver position. Mike Gesicki is a stud at tight end. Don't think they got to add there. So say they stick with Tua and they put weapons around them. I can see the Dolphins doing just fine. Going out, maybe either drafting a receiver, signing a receiver. I like Myles Gaskins personally, but I don't know if the Dolphins feel good enough to roll with him. I would, if it was me, I'd be rolling with Myles Gaskins because I don't really care for any of the free agent running backs who are out there currently. So if it was my call, I'm going with Myles Gaskins. But what do you guys think?
No, I agree with that. But I'll let Jackson hop right into it real fast. Go ahead, Jackson. What do you think?
So I want to talk about Gaskin here for a second. I'm 100% agree with you. Gaskin, I think, is a stud. He's a solid running back for this team. But I've read a couple articles the past couple of days, and it's leaning towards free agent running back Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers. I've seen a lot of articles saying that this team should go out and try and make a play on him. I'm pretty sure it said something about Aaron Jones is interested in going down to Miami. So I think that if they bring a guy like Aaron Jones in, it'd be a solid signing for him. But I would rather them roll with Gaskin because, again, running back is probably the most replaceable position in the league. You can throw someone out there and they can get the job done. So I think they should roll with Gaskins, use their money elsewhere. They got some needs. They're losing their center. Ted Karras played 100% of the snaps this past season. So maybe they want to bring him back in. That'd be like a $10 million deal. I would probably lean towards that way. You can get some offensive line help. And if we're talking about this wide receiver help here, they got the 3rd overall pick. I probably wouldn't trade for Deshaun Watson since you mentioned it. I feel like that 3rd overall pick is very valuable towards this team because they would have to most likely give that pick up to go get Deshaun Watson. So I don't think it's time for this team to move on from Tagovailoa just yet. I would go out, use that 3rd overall pick, Personally, I think Jamar Chase would be the right pick for this team. I've looked into it a little bit. I think Jamar Chase is a more complete receiver, and he would be a great fit for this Miami offense. Definitely help Tua Tagovailoa out a lot. So I think Jamar Chase with a 3rd overall pick. Don't bring in a guy like Aaron Jones. Roll with Gaskins. And on the defensive side of the ball, they've had a great defense this past season. They're keeping most of these guys, except they're most likely losing Van Noy. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if you want to give up on Tua. If you give up on Tua right now, I've just mentioned Watson because there's been a lot of rumors. But if you give up on Tua now and he goes elsewhere and ends up playing well, you're going to look like an idiot. I think
Absolutely.
You should try to build around the guy while he's young. This is his 2nd year in the league. He's coming off of a major hip injury. So build around him now. And I agree with you too, Jackson, with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a great running back. We see him. He puts the ball on the turf, and he wants a lot of money. If I'm the Dolphins, I'm not willing to waste that kind of money on a running back unless it's a huge game changer. Aaron Jones is great, but we saw him fumble the football in big moments this year. And honestly, the Packers have been going away from him. Other guys are getting carries. Aaron Jones was not always on the field this year, so that shows you what they thought of him. So if I'm the Dolphins, I'm not wasting that kind of money to bring a running back in. I think that's crazy.
Absolutely. And look, here's what just plain and simple. Aaron Jones is going to be what we project to be. Thank you to Noah the Hube Thompson. Thank you. We appreciate your numbers. He said that it's supposed to be worth a $14.5 million contract per year.
Not worth it.
Okay. They have $34-ish million in cap to work with. I also don't feel like it's the move to go and get Deshaun Watson. Now, I understand that gets you right into contention, and everyone wants to jump right into contention, right? Tom Brady effect. Let me tell you something. Tom Brady played like a GM role. Let's be honest with ourselves. He went in there. He brought Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown. He brought an entire damn organization together on top of him being considered the GOAT, right? So when you look at Miami, I mean, bringing in Deshaun Watson, yeah, it might help. It's definitely an upgrade over Tua, but Tua's a young guy. This new thing where you try out a quarterback for 1 year or you give him a half a year without an offseason and give up on him, I'm tired of it. It's a bunch of nonsense. Maybe I'm too old school with my approach. Maybe it's time to turn on people like this. But last I checked, the NFL lasted a very long time, and nobody turned on quarterbacks as fast as they do nowadays. So this is what I do. I hold on to Tua. I draft Jamar Chase with the first overall pick. With the first round pick. Third overall pick. Or you look into someone like Penny Sewell. I saw that he's kind of falling down boards a little bit. Got to do some more scouting analysis to make my final decision. While Rashawn Slater's been rising boards. Again, I think Sewell's a pick over Slater, but I got to do more analysis to finally come up with a final opinion on that. As for Ted Karras, you guys mentioned him as a center position. Look, here's the thing. A lot of Miami fans, for some reason, and look, we don't watch Miami football like you guys do, the fans do, but it's another option. I mean, your guys' offensive line's terrible. He's not, a lot of people are saying he's terrible. He's not horrendous. He's not great by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that you guys may just bring him back. Maybe it's not worth the $10 million deal that Spot Rack is projecting, but maybe it's worth an $8.5, $9 million deal for 4 years. And listen, that's better than having nothing. I know everyone's quick to turn on players that don't perform right away, but sometimes you just got to give it time, let the guy work, and he might honestly be your best option at this point. Besides that, let's say they draft Chase in the first round. They got $33 million, $34 million to work with. They're going to be able to make a splash in free agency. And let's just say they don't bring you back Aaron Jones. You mentioned Aaron Jones, but why don't we mention some receivers that are out in free agency this upcoming year? I mean, there are some guys that could potentially want to go here. I would not say someone like Allen Robinson. I think he wants to go to a quarterback that's had success in the NFL. So I'll throw him out the window. But you got guys like Kenny Golladay that might be interested. Maybe a Will Fuller, right? A Will Fuller would be a nice option here. You pair him up with Jamar Chase, and you're looking pretty dang good. To add a wide receiver in the first round would be nice, or to add someone like Penny Sewell. But free agency, guys, start spitting out some names. We got Jones, we got Fuller, we got Golladay, we got maybe Corey Davis.
A guy like Curtis Samuel could open up this Dolphins offense to a complete new level. Have a wide receiver that can go in the backfield, being that maybe you don't go and sign a guy like Aaron Jones. So you'd be able to mix things up and put Curtis Samuel. He can run in the backfield, he can run in the slot, he can run on the outside. I think that would be a great fit for this Miami team.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying running back, and what we mean by running back, guys, too, is hopefully you guys didn't take that out of context. We're all fans of Myles Gaskin. The reason why we said running back is for depth purposes. But honestly, me being a Raiders fan myself, as you see behind my shoulder, you guys got this guy named Lynn Bowden, all right, that we traded to you guys last season. And he was a third-round pick, and he honestly performed pretty well for you guys. So I'm excited to see what he can do for this organization. Look, I'm looking at you guys. You guys got a solid defense. You got a really young offense. You need to build up that offensive line. If you build up the offensive line, get some weapons for Tua. You got a decent running back in Myles Gaskins. You got a pretty solid defense. Now you're going to have to replace Kyle Van Noy, though. So that's where it gets interesting, what you want to do with Kyle Van Noy. And besides that, I mean, this team is honestly pretty shut down, pretty locked down defensively. Brian Flores, we're all fans of Brian Flores. That's just the honest truth. So anything else from you guys? What else do you guys think? Anything with this?
I'm gonna throw a name out there. For at wide receiver, it's gonna be Marvin Jones. This guy wants to win. He's been wasting his talents over there in Detroit. I think Marvin Jones is getting up there in age. You got two young receivers if you draft Jamar Chase with Devontae Parker. This would be a great little mentor for him. I think Marvin Jones would fit really good with this team.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I like Marvin Jones. I like him a lot. But the Dolphins receivers, they're not good, but they're not terrible. Preston Williams comes back healthy, Devontae Parker comes back healthy, I think you just do it via draft. I think you draft Jamar Chase with the 3rd pick, and then you spend your money in free agency elsewhere to get ready to go on a run.
Absolutely. And I mean, what positions, before we sum this up, what positions, like you said,
Do they have another
offensive
first
line-
round pick on top of their 3rd pick?
Say it again?
Do they have another first round? I'm pretty sure they have another first round pick on top of their 3rd overall pick. And I think a guy that if they have, the 18th pick. If they use that pick, I think a guy to fill in that outside linebacker pick on need would be Nick Bolton from Missouri. I think he'd be a great fit for that defense.
I'm gonna disagree with you here, and the reason why is because I feel like, guys, we're just completely avoiding what is broken on this team. I know the defense needs help, but I would not reach and take Nick Bolton. You got to address offensive line. If you got a young quarterback, like any of us would say, let's be honest with ourselves here. If you got that young franchise quarterback who may just be Tua, right? Jackson, I know you're a big fan of him. You got to build him an offensive line. It's like Joey Burrow. You got him in Cincinnati, has no offensive line. You got to build the offensive line to protect the quarterback. You can give him a bunch of toys to play with, but if you don't protect the guy, he's never going to be able to play with his toys. So you can give him Corey Davis, Will Fuller, I don't care, and Jamar Chase. If you don't protect this man, he's never going to be able to get it done. You got to get an offensive line, whether it's a guard, whether it's a tackle. Maybe Rashawn Slater's there. I don't think he'll go to 18, but who the heck knows? There's other guys that we mentioned too in other videos that might just fall here. There's some other offensive tackles. If I had to name just a few off the top of my head, you got Christian Darrisaw, maybe Sam.
The reason we're not mentioning it, there's so many of them. There are so many offensive tackles and offensive linemen in this draft in general. They can grab a good one in the mid rounds.
Absolutely. No,
there's so many of them.
There's a lot of offensive tackles this year, but would you be willing to take a linebacker, an outside linebacker, over a lineman right now?
Depending on what they do with the 3rd pick. And it's depending on what they do in free agency. This video is mainly a free agency video. We're kind of going off topic and getting into the draft a little more than what we have in the other videos. But it all depends on what they do in free agency. They can go bring a veteran in free agency and then not have to draft one.
Yeah.
They got the money to do it.
Absolutely. No, they got money. I mean, they got money to work with here. So it's going to be interesting to see the very least. Another guy, another linebacker that I think that if they were to take a linebacker where Jackson's talking about, I think that the guy you got to look at, I think Nick Bolton's a late first rounder. If they got the 18th overall pick, you got to look into a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, or however you say his name. He's a pretty good linebacker. He's supposed to go in those earlier, or the middle to earlier first, like right in that 15 to 18 range. That could be a guy that falls to them and they would want to take. But I wouldn't reach for Nick Bolton in the mid first. I'll let you guys know if anything changes. Again, be sure to stay tuned to our scouting analysis and mock drafts videos. Those are going to be coming up next on the later on after this series is over. Anything else from you guys?
No, I just like where this team is going. I think bring in a couple veterans on either side of the football. You can compete. Draft well. You got 2 first-round picks. Don't waste them.
Absolutely.
This team's in a great spot. Players are going to go to this team, so hopefully they make the right moves. Brian Flores is a smart guy, so we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Absolutely. And again, to sum this up, I'm just going to say this. I think this team could be a playoff contender for sure. I think I would be stupid if I said otherwise. The thing is that your offense needs to be improved drastically, I think. Your defense is what almost got you there this year. What you guys got to do is, I don't care if your first 3 picks are all offense, wide receiver and 2 offensive linemen. They got to protect Tua. That's the only way this team's going to win, if you protect the quarterback.
Some of that Tua's faults too. If you watch Tua play this season, held on to the ball too long, was not getting it out, wasn't aggressive, played a little bit relaxed, was a little nervous, it seemed like to me. You just got to teach the guy to get rid of the ball quicker. Got to get the ball out of his hands, and that will come with better weapons to throw the ball to.
Absolutely. That's why I feel like you got to establish both in the first round. I think you got to protect them, and you got to give them weapons. Again, I think he needs to take more shots downfield like he did in college, and I feel like he needs to be quicker with his decision-making, but it would help if he had an offensive line too. This offensive line is pretty dang putrid. They're not good.
They're not great, but how did Ryan Fitzpatrick perform with them?
Oh, yeah. Well, I know. I believe
he was getting taken down much. Ryan Fitzpatrick performed pretty well with them. So I just think a lot of it was Tua, indecisions to throw balls. If you watch Tua play, like I just said, he played conservative football. I don't know if it was because he was nervous. He was just coming off of an injury. He didn't want to mess up. but he wasn't taking shots. You got to take shots. You got to be aggressive to succeed, especially with lack of weapons.
No, yeah, I know. I hear you. And that's what they got to do. I think that they got to establish both positions. I think we would be foolish to say otherwise. Guys, that's all from us. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. We'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. I'm excited to see what this team can do. Again, playoff contenders. Let us know what moves you guys think they're going to make in the free agency and in the draft. And again, scouting analysis is going to be coming up after this and our mock draft. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are
Built better.
See you guys soon. Peace.